The Niners' biggest X factor against Indy. Now, the way I look at this is like the ace up your sleeve. The advantage that maybe people don't necessarily recognize, or Indy doesn't even recognize, but something that the Niners have going for them that you think could really tip the scales in their favor. I could go first. I could go first.
All right.
I could go first. Let's just to kick off the conversation because it's a tough one, and I kind of set you up. But for me, it's the return of JaMychal Hasty. We just said that this is going to come down to running the ball, and the Colts have not. They have a really good running back in Jonathan Taylor, but they also have Naheem Hines. They have Marlon Mack, and they have Carson Wentz who will carry the ball a few times a game, and he scored a touchdown running the ball against the Niners last year. So they have like 4 guys who can contribute. The Niners need more than just Elijah Mitchell. And Trey Sermon can't seem to get the ball. And Trey Lance ain't playing this week.
Yeah.
I actually think JaMychal Hasty is the best running back on the team when he's healthy, which is not that often. But if he's healthy in this game, I mean, he's averaging almost 7 yards a carry. I think he's a big advantage for the 49ers. And I don't think the Colts really know anything about JaMychal Hasty.
Nah, Hasty is a huge advantage, but I just hope he doesn't fumble in the rain.
True.
He fumbles the football. He fumbled the football. That's his problem. So in the rain, when the
Sermon
ball
too.
is wet,
yep, that's a good point.
Like, I don't know if he's good. I hope he just doesn't fumble, right? Because I have no problem with him. I know he's a great runner. I know he's a really good running back for the team. But my biggest issue with Hasty is and especially his fumbling issue. But when it's raining, that's even worse because the ball is pretty wet. But
it's a great point.
I think the biggest X factor for the Niners is Deebo Samuel. Because I think you could do a lot with Deebo Samuel, right? And one thing also is that when Jimmy Garoppolo, just look at last year, Jimmy Garoppolo played that Miami game. He was injured, and he threw for 2 interceptions. The next week, Jimmy Garoppolo plays the next week against the Rams because they bench him in the second quarter. They put in C.J. Beathard for the rest of the game. They play the Rams next week on Sunday Night Football, and they used Deebo Samuel a lot in that game. So Jimmy Garoppolo still had that high ankle injury, but he still played in the game. And they would run, jet sweeps with Deebo, and they would do screen passes with Deebo. They would use Deebo Samuel a lot, especially when Jimmy Garoppolo was injured. He was injured that game. So I think Deebo Samuel is a huge X factor because Deebo Samuel, we know what he does. Even Jimmy Garoppolo is going to throw the ball, right? So Deebo Samuel up the middle, running quick slants and stuff like that. You could hit on those, and Deebo Samuel can go 30, 40 yards and get huge yards after catch. So I think Deebo Samuel is a huge X factor for this game. And I definitely agree with you also, the running backs also. But I think in the passing game especially, Deebo Samuel is a huge X factor in this game.
I agree with you. I mean, look at it. The way I'm looking at it here is the Niners won 9-0 in Washington. That's the blueprint. And in that game, they ran 39 times. It's hard to run 39 times if you only have one running back that you hand the ball to. In fact, it's impossible. They're not going to give the ball to Elijah Mitchell 39 times.
Yep.
So to get to that number, they got to give the ball to JaMychal Hasty. They got to give the ball to Trey Sermon too. And I think the fact that they have 3 guys they can give the ball to instead of 2 or 1.5 is good. It increases their likelihood of winning. And if it's clear that, Hasty doesn't have it, they don't have to give him the ball. But to have a 3-headed option is a good thing, I think. Because Indianapolis does.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to give Elijah Mitchell 35 carries on his own, but they definitely should use all 3 of the running backs.
What I want to say real quick, coming back to Deebo, he can factor in the carries too.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, remember against, what was it? Arizona. They finally lined him up in the backfield and just gave him a toss in the red zone. He scored a touchdown. I would imagine they're going to give him a few plays like that in this game because if it's all about running the ball and you can't throw it all, or you really can't throw more than just a few yards down the field, you got to get Deebo. You can't, that takes Deebo out of the game, theoretically.
Yep.
So you got to get him the ball. He needs to get 10 to 15 touches every game one way or another. So look for Deebo to actually play some freaking running back in this game. That'd be cool.
That would be.
X factor. X factor. That's the definition. Good answer, man. I think he's probably a bigger X factor than JaMychal Hasty. So you win this round.